All right, so far, this is how we've gone so far. So I have this main program, which is my tester. We decided to write this in an IDE called BlueJ, but you can write it in any IDE you want. If you're using BlueJ, it's just nice graphic user interface. Here's my shape tester. You see that it's called public class shape tester. Now notice I can set up a new shape because I do have a shape class, which is the super class. So everything, it's like the parent class, some people would call this. And so I just tabbed over to my shape class. It's set up like our card class or any other class that we've written, public class shape. And I have some protected instance variables. Protected means the subclasses will be able to see X, Y, and name, but nobody else will. So private means nobody can see it. Even the subclasses can't see private instance variables, but I'm protecting it so that the subclasses can see it. Then I have a shape constructor. Now the big deal is that this shape constructor does not take any arguments. See, there's parentheses that are blank there. So I'm going to jump back to my shape tester for a minute. Notice how S1 is a shape object, and there are no arguments being sent to that constructor. So I'm creating a new shape, S1. It'll go over here and say, okay, I guess X is 0, Y is 0, and name is whatever. I'll say generic shape there. So that's one way that I can construct a shape. Another way is using this constructor. This constructor is also called shape, just like the one previously, but this one takes three arguments, int, and string, so that it can get values for X, Y, and name. So let's look at the shape tester and see me testing that one. That one is shape 2 right here. Now I'm sending three arguments, an integer, and a string. So S2 has these values 100, 50, and circle associated with it. S2 is going to look over at the shape constructor that takes those three arguments. A is going to become 100, B is going to become 100, or Y, and 50.9 is going to be, oh, that's a circle. Sorry, that's not a new shape. Sorry, 150 in circle. That's the one we're looking at for S2. So here, A is 100, Y is 50, N is circle. And notice that now X would equal 100. The Y for the S2 object will equal 50. And the name for the S2 object is going to be circle. That's my super class. Nothing new here. I have a toString method that treats any shape object like a string, and it'll report back, I'm in the class, in the super class. Anyway, so I can set up new shapes like that. But then I made this subclass called circle. And you see here I'm constructing a new circle. That's because I created another class. I'm going to jump over to that tab now. This is the circle class, and the circle class extends shape. That means it'll inherit everything, including those instance variables which are protected from the shape class. But it also has a unique feature, and that's a radius. Not all shapes have a radius, but a circle does. So circle now has instance variable radius, but it also has instance variable X, Y, and name. Now, how do I set X, Y, and name? Because they're not labeled in here. They're not defined in here. They're defined up in the superclass. How I do that is by calling this in my circle constructor, no argument circle constructor. I call on the shape class by using the super keyword. Now I'm going to take a 0, and the word circle, int, string, over to the super class, which is called shape. So 0, 0 circle goes over to the super class, finds the constructor, that takes three arguments, 0, 0, circle, and sets the value of x to 0, y to 0, and name to circle. That's a lot. It's a lot to take in, but that's how it works. And the radius gets set to 1. I also made a int double constructor for circle so that if somebody wants to send over the radius, they can. I don't have to send, I mean, I don't have to ask the user to name the circle because it's a circle. So I know it's going to be called circle. So notice how when I call on that superclass, I still use value for x, the value for y, and the word circle. But now I can set the radius also. And we'll test both of those in main. So now if I go to main, you see I've taken int double. It'll go to the circle constructor, set the radius to 50.9, and send 100 and 100 off to the super class using that super keyword. Now it's okay to downcast like this. So we're starting with the big parent class or the super class shape, and we're saying it's a new circle, which is the subclass. It's okay to do that. You cannot do circle, whatever, equals new shape. That's not allowed. No, you can't do that. No. You get an error if you do that. And then the two string that gets called on will just depend on um, how it's set up. So C3, for example, is set up as a circle. So it's going to go first check the circle class for a two string. Let's go check circle class. Circle class does have a two string, so it'll use that. If circle class didn't have a two string, then it'll go to the parent class, the super class, and it'll look, oh, is there a two string in here? And it'll use that only if there was no two string in the circle class. Okay, so that brings you back up, that brings you up to par with what we did last class.